Hey, First Baptist. Hope you're doing well, and hope you're getting outside and enjoying this weather. We need to get outside right now. Like, we've been cooped up and isolated, and man, get outside. It's like 80 degrees mid-February, and yeah, it even makes it easier to see people a little bit. You can stay distant and safe. I had a chance to talk to somebody today out on the church property here, just sitting on the grass, and it was great. Really refreshing, encouraging. So, well, hey, I want to follow up on Sunday's message and God's wisdom for us. And Nicole actually brought this up, and just the idea of God's wisdom for us in our sanctification. And I didn't really touch on that. Sanctification is a big word. It can be used in two ways. Sometimes in the Bible, it's used to speak of God setting us apart. That's what it literally means, is to set apart. Sometimes it speaks of him setting us apart at salvation. He sets us apart for himself. But then other times it speaks of a gradual of him setting us apart from sin to himself. In other words, this process by which he gradually makes us more like Christ. Okay, it's Christian growth, right? And we're involved in this. We're cooperate and strive and press forward in sanctification, in growing to be more like Christ. But ultimately, it's his work. And as his work, he's doing this work in his wisdom. And I think that's an important thing for us to understand, that it's in his wisdom, not in ours. Because again, we have our own ways of thinking that, boy, it would be nice if sanctification, this growth to be more like Christ, would be easy and quick and painless and so forth, right? But in God's perfect wisdom, sanctification is not any of those. In his wisdom, the sanctification, this growth, is slow. In his wisdom, it's often painful. It's not easy. It involves striving and effort and agonizing. It involves killing sin by the Spirit. It's not easy. It involves us suffering. It involves hard relationships. It involves having to deal with people who are very different from us in our marriages or in the church, or it involves interacting with other people's sin that affects us. It involves trials and loss and grieving. It involves just persistence, endurance for the long haul, right? It involves seeing our own sin, which can be very painful, right? Just have your own sin in your face, or see you're enduring temptation. This process of us becoming more like Christ can be hard, right? It can involve God's word, piercing our hearts and convicting us in ways that we fall short. And this process in God's wisdom is maybe not what our wisdom would be, right? But it's glorious. It's good. It's his work in us. And it's in his perfect wisdom. So that when you think about a place like Philippians 1:6, where it says that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion the day of Jesus Christ. Man, be encouraged. That's God's wisdom. In his wisdom, he's going to carry on this work. Or you think about, I love the illustration of John 15, where Jesus identifies himself as the vine. And he says all his true disciples are branches. And he says that his Father prunes the branches so that they will bear much fruit. Well, he prunes us in his perfect wisdom so that we will bear much fruit. And so I think this is a call for us to lean into this, to say, God, in your wisdom, do whatever necessary to prune me so that I bear fruit for you. Do whatever it takes in your perfect wisdom to conform me to the image of Christ, to continue your work in me. So this is a call for us to lean into that, to ask God to continue to do that work, to not run from that, but to trust in his wisdom and rejoice in his wisdom. None of the hardness and the maybe questions we have about sanctification and growth are for naught. They're actually a part of God's perfect wisdom for us as he changes us to be more like Christ. So be encouraged by that. Let's lean into that. And I hope that's helpful for you guys. So take care and have a great day. Love you all.